The year I turned 27. My family started pressuring me to get married. I abruptly broke up with the boyfriend I'd been chasing for 3 years. When my friend asked, "You liked Ethan so much. Can you really let go?" I sneered. "I'm not stupid. He's fun for casual dating. But marrying him would ruin my life." A dark, familiar voice suddenly cut through the air. "Oh, so that's why you dumped me?" Dragging my luggage home, I collided with a girl leaving my apartment. Her oversized black sweater revealed delicate collarbones, the hem disappearing under her hips as she strutted in YSL stiletto heels. I recognized her as Vivi, the early 20s bassist from Ethan's band. I instinctively hid behind the hallway door. Moments later, Ethan stepped out wearing jeans, lazily lighting a cigarette against the wall. Shirtless, water droplets still glistened on his sculpted shark-line abs. He tossed a Chanel tote at her. "Take it." Vivi's eyes lit up, throwing herself at him. "Oh my God! I've wanted this forever. Where'd you get it?" "Picked it up in Tokyo last time." "I love it." "Thanks, babe." She tried lingering, but Ethan frowned impatiently. "Enough. Get going." The girl pouted playfully. "So cruel. Calling me babe earlier. Now kicking me out." Blowing him a kiss, she sauntered off. "See you tomorrow." Emerging from hiding, I found Ethan momentarily startled before schooling his features. "Why didn't you call first?" I studied the fresh love bites on his neck. "It was late. Didn't want to disturb you." Without guilt, he pulled me inside. "Make me something to eat." He turned on the TV like nothing happened. When I didn't move, he smirked. "Missed me?" His calloused guitarist hand slid under my shirt, breath hot on my neck. "Let's start with dessert." I pushed him away, exhaustion overriding desire. Though I'd initially pursued Ethan for his model looks, the jet lag and lingering perfume made me nauseous. His smile died. "What's wrong?" My gaze fell on shredded black stockings. Ethan clicked his tongue, lighting a menthol cigarette. The crackling filter punctuated his lie. "Her lease expired." "We didn't." Through smoke, our eyes met without meeting. Both of us knew how flimsy that excuse sounded. This wasn't Ethan's first time cheating. He'd always been a natural-born player, even when I first met him. Back then, my best friend dragged me to see some hyped-up rock band, raving about the insanely hot lead singer and how impossible the tickets were to score. I couldn't care less about rock music until Ethan took the stage. His head bent over the guitar, dark bangs unstyled and grazing his pale forehead, those faintly pink eyelids flickering under the stage lights, while the rest of the band looked like they'd raided a hot topic. He wore a plain black tee and jeans yet commanded every gaze in the room. That face belonged on a billboard. When he glanced up, amber eyes catching fractured spotlights with that lazy half-smile, the entire venue erupted. My friend and every girl around us screamed like we'd witnessed the second coming. Our eyes met through the chaos, just for a heartbeat before he looked away. The music kept playing, but all I heard was my own pulse thundering in my ears. After the set, I joined the stampede of girls flocking to the green room. 23 years of zero dating experience. And there I was shoving my phone at him. Ethan added every single one of us that night. A year later, after countless groupies had given up, I was still texting him playlists and showing up at his gigs. Out of pity? Boredom? Who knows, but eventually he stopped introducing me as just a friend. 5 years together, and I've always known the truth. Ethan doesn't love me. He likes how convenient I am, the understanding girlfriend who finds his boxers in my laundry basket and still cooks his favorite mapo tofu. The one who believes his work dinners and band meetups every time. "You promised." I whisper, staring at the shredded Balenciaga stockings on our bedroom floor. Ethan exhales a plume of mint vape smoke in my face. All sharp cheekbones and cruel amusement. "You actually believed that?" His thumb brushes the fading hickey on his collarbone, not mine. Can't handle it? Feel free to walk away. Same script. Different fight. I always cave first, begging through tears while he waits me out. But tonight, I turn toward the bathroom. I'm tired. His grip bites into my wrist. Zoe. Don't push it. The front door slams so hard the framed concert posters rattle. My hands shake opening my family group chat. Mom's message blinks, honey. I've never pressured you. But you're 27 now. My coworker's son is visiting, great job. Handsome. Come home for the holidays? Beneath it. My boss's text. Zoe. The new branch needs leadership. You're wasted as an assistant manager. Interested in running the whole division? It'll be tough initially. But think about it. Outside, car tires screech down our street. I press my forehead to the cold window. The city lights blur, half of them burning brighter where Ethan's probably already texting some new Vivi or Dan. My suitcase zips open on the bed. The stars have aligned. Yet I truly have no reason to stay here anymore. I sighed. Truth be told, I really liked Ethan. He was gorgeous. Had an incredible physique. And our chemistry in bed was electric. Most importantly, he was a certified player. Being with him felt effortless because I never had to worry about commitment or our future. When I first started my career, drowning in exhaustion, I desperately needed an outlet for stress. Yet despite my average looks, I remained stubbornly picky about appearances. After countless disappointments, Ethan appeared. His prime years were spent with me, his body becoming my sanctuary during those grueling days of corporate warfare. Though notorious for messy entanglements, he maintained strict standards. Every woman had to present recent STD test results before getting involved. We always used protection, so health risks never worried me. Finding another man this perfect would be near impossible now. But there's no helping it. Casual relationships are one thing, marriage and stability belong to a different universe. I adored Ethan, yet knew deep down he wasn't husband material. The time had come to choose. Ethan didn't return that night. Days passed without word. My calls and texts went unanswered until that red exclamation mark appeared. He blocked me. Classic silent treatment. We'd played this game before. Ethan excelled at Cold Wars, always making me grovel for days before granting forgiveness. This time, preoccupied with my job transition, I couldn't bother chasing him. As I booked my flight home that evening, my phone rang. Vivi's drunken giggle pierced through club noise. Zoe. Ethan's wasted. Come get him. Ethan lived for nightlife. Born into wealth. His band was just a hobby. When I'd asked why he didn't inherit the family business, he'd sneered about his father's bastard children fighting like dogs over scraps. Grandpa's fortune and mom's assets will be mine anyway. He'd shrugged. Money meant nothing to him, only pursuing pleasures mattered. Our worlds never aligned beyond physical attraction. Whenever I shared career triumphs, promotions, big projects, his eyes glazed over. Why kill yourself for chump change? He'd scoffed. That's less than my nightly bar tab. Staring at my 8 a.m. flight confirmation, I sighed. Part of me wanted one last passionate goodbye. These stressful transition days could use that release. Shame about the missed opportunity. But fate had decided. The club revealed Ethan surrounded by beauties. 20-something girls with dewy skin no makeup could mask. No wonder they flocked to him, wealthy, generous, devastatingly handsome. Even his playboy reputation became part of the allure. My fingers brushed my face, recalling Ethan's criticism, "You're 27. Zoe. Get some facials. Put in effort." Now I understood these were fresh-faced college girls. I stood at the crowd's edge until his gaze briefly met mine, then darted away. Vivi clung to him, flushed and giggling. "Ethan. One more shot." Her syrup-sweet voice carried over the bass line. Ethan smiled. Under the lights. His upturned eyes looked breathtakingly beautiful yet devoid of warmth. This drinking game's getting stale. Why don't you feed me instead? How? He didn't answer. Just stared down at her. Half a second later, Vivi's eyes lit up with sudden understanding. She threw back the caramel-colored whiskey in her glass. Ethan immediately seized her chin, crashing their lips together in a bruising kiss that held no tenderness, pure emotional warfare. Vivi arched her neck to meet him, tears of oxygen deprivation glistening at her lashes as amber liquor dribbled down their chins, catching the club lights before they finally broke apart with a silver strand still connecting them. The crowd erupted in catcalls. I knew this spectacle was meant for me, punishment for last week's argument and my failure to grovel afterward. Silence fell as I stepped into their circle. Ethan glanced up indifferently. What do you want? His face blurred with memories of our tangled sheets and whispered promises. Did it hurt? I wondered. Maybe a little, but not as much as it should've. Having always known his nature, thrill-chasing playboy, pathological people-pleaser, self-obsessed man-child raised on constant adoration. You're disgusting. I choked out. Even seated, Ethan managed to look down his nose at me. Disgusted? You're free to leave. Nobody's stopping you. I stared silently. This marked at least the 50th time he'd weaponized our relationship. A friend nudged him. Ease up. Man. Can't you see Zoe's crying? The tear hit the floor on cue. Ethan's cigarette twitched between his fingers, but his voice stayed icy. Well, okay then. I wiped my face. We're done. His chair screeched as he lunged upright, fury twisting those perfect features before he barked out a laugh. Bravo. Zoe! Just remember, I don't do second chances. Don't come crawling back like some pathetic mutt. I won't. That night, I scrubbed Ethan from my phone, apartment, and life. By sunrise, I was airborne toward my hometown, ejecting my SIM card into a Starbucks trash can over Nebraska. 3 weeks later found me nodding at a balding programmer across a coffee shop table. Women should prioritize homemaking. My date droned, comb-over fluttering with self-importance. Ambitious wives emasculate their husbands. Every great man needs. I tuned out, white-knuckling my latte cup while calculating the assault charge for scalding this human thumb. After he finally finished speaking, he glanced at me sideways. Did you catch all that? Anything to add? Maintaining my smile, I replied, no. But Mr. Smith, I don't think we're compatible. Let's stop seeing each other. I walked away as he began muttering about women losing value after 25 and picky old hags. Back in my hometown these past weeks, my mother had introduced several suitors, some decent catches. But after being with someone like Ethan, ordinary men felt unbearable. This mood lingered until our office meeting. The conference room buzzed with tension as everyone sat rigidly around the table. I whispered to the deputy manager beside me. What's happening? Company trouble? Old chairman's son just parachuted in. He murmured. Dan Smith, Harvard grad. Made billions overnight in finance. Only returned because his father pressured him. Absolute shark, watch your words. The door swung open. A young man in tailored black wool coat entered, his polished Oxfords clicking against marble. Assistants scrambled to take his coat as all eyes locked onto him. First came the aura, that indefinable magnetism of someone born to command. Though his expression remained neutral, everyone instinctively lowered their gaze. Then came the details, piercing eyes. Hair swept back to reveal angular brows. That impossible blend of Western bone structure and Eastern features from his French mother. My apologies for the delayed flight. Dan began, taking the head seat. I'm Dan Smith, your new CEO. Let's cut to business, starting with department heads. Give me annual reports and current projects. No fluff. Managers trembled through presentations. True to rumors, he eviscerated every half-baked claim. I don't tolerate ambiguity or incompetence. Fix this by Friday or I'll find those who can. No raised voice. Yet cold sweat dotted every collar. When my turn came, damp palms nearly smudged my notes. But as I detailed last year's 23% revenue growth and 3 successful product launches, confidence surged. Education and career defined me. I never half-assed either. Dan's gaze sharpened with interest. Zoe. Correct? This. He tapped my report. Is the standard I expect. Post-takeover. Our workload doubled. Dan axed deadweight projects while securing premium contracts. Overtime became routine, though paychecks swelled accordingly. Female colleagues buzzed about the enigmatic CEO. 2 rookies tried cliché CEO false ingenue moves. One challenged him in meetings. Another accidentally spilled coffee on his Brioni shirt. Both got fired before lunch. Think he's a virgin? Someone giggled during coffee break. With that face and fortune? Please. Probably has supermodels on speed dial. I'd pay my annual bonus for one night. Did you see his ass in those tailored pants? Their chatter sparked an idea. Ethan was gone. But this Dan, he intrigued me. Time for a new challenge. I began strategic appearances. 3 mornings weekly. I'd catch his private elevator, greeting him politely before standing silent. At noon, I'd fetch coffee moments before his habitual break, ensuring he glimpsed me leaving. Some evenings, I'd work late as he passed my desk. Visibility without pursuit. Presence without pressure. The game was on. Finally, on the 17th occasion he saw me working late. Dan paused mid-stride and approached. I've noticed you staying late frequently lately. Any particular challenges? I feigned surprise before hesitantly handing over my documents. The new project involves assessing risk factors for certain company assets. I wanted thorough due diligence. He settled into the adjacent workstation with natural ease. Let me review. His subtle sandalwood cologne mingled with my rose perfume, creating an intoxicating blend. The project shows promise. Examine their 2023 financial statements, solid fiscal health. Also, as he elaborated, I nodded attentively, interjecting sharp technical queries before displaying dawning comprehension. I never considered that angle. Thank you, Dan. Competence isn't your issue, just need more field experience. Don't overstress. His lips quirked. Leave before people think I'm some heartless slave driver forcing overtime. We descended together through wind-whipped rain. When I lingered under the awning, he turned back. Problem? Nothing urgent. You go ahead. 5 minutes later, his Mercedes emerged from parking. The window lowered. No car today? My cheeks flushed. The rain's complicating rideshares. I'll manage. Get in. During the drive, our conversation revealed shared interests. Even his favorite obscure film matched mine. By my apartment. He'd missed the turn. My bad. He muttered after correction. At drop-off. He seemed poised to speak but stopped himself. Something else. Dan? Your perfume, distinctive. Penhaligon's the bewatching Yasmin. See you tomorrow. From behind curtains. I watched his taillights disappear before retrieving my notebook. Weeks of train commutes and weather stalking had paid off. The pages overflowed with research, resurrected college social media accounts, painstakingly decoded preferences. Even last night's movie marathon served purpose. Average girls need strategy for catching unicorn men. My phone buzzed with unknown caller ID. Ethan's detached voice stated, "Collect your leftovers or they're trash. Discard them." I flipped through Dan's dossier. Distracted. The silence crackled before abrupt disconnection. He's always been like this, moody and needing constant coddling. But now I'm under no obligation to indulge him anymore. After blocking his number, I put the matter out of my mind. Since I'd already spent time with Dan yesterday, repeating the same approach today wouldn't work. seizing the rare early night off. I went to a bar with friends. 3 drinks in. We were both tipsy. My friend squinted at me through the haze of neon lights. You were so crazy about Ethan before. Now that you've dumped him, are you really over it? Back when Ethan and I were together, my friends constantly scolded me for being too thirsty, a pathetic simp in their eyes. But I never saw it that way. If I wanted Ethan's Adonis-like body, I had to put in the work. Besides, choosing to dote on someone is my prerogative. Since when did affection become weakness? I set down my margarita glass. Guys like him are only good for flings. I'm not stupid enough to tie myself to that train wreck long term. Imagine marrying that mess. I'd be miserable for life. My friend raised her shot glass in salute. Fucking legend. You really played 4D chess here. Got to enjoy Ethan in his prime while her eyes suddenly widened, frozen mid-sentence as she stared past my shoulder. Am I hallucinating or? The icy chuckle behind me instantly sobered me up. So this is why you dumped me? Every muscle tensed as I turned. Ethan leaned against the exposed brick wall, his silk white shirt catching the strobe lights. My friend vanished faster than last call. He yanked me into the service corridor, towering over me with murder in his eyes. Why are you here? I blurted defensively. Ethan's lips curled in that infuriating smirk. Zoe, if you don't own a mirror, you could at least check your piss. The band's playing tonight. His knuckles whitened against the fire exit sign. Though I wouldn't have known about being your disposable toy if I hadn't run into you. It was just drunk talk. You know how my protest died as he gripped my chin, forcing eye contact. Tell me, Zoe, he hissed through clenched teeth. Have you always thought I'm some fucking joke? Yes. I screamed internally, wrenching free from his grasp. Outwardly, I kept my voice steady. However this ended, I gave you everything for 3 years. Even you can't deny that. If anything, you owe me. My youth matters too. Ethan. The corridor fluorescence highlighted his perfect bone structure as he studied me. Just as I braced for another explosion, he laughed, cold and hollow. You flatter yourself, he drawled, adjusting his leather cuff. Of course we'll part ways cleanly. Let's be clear though, I'm the one ending this. He strode away like I was sidewalk gum stuck to his designer boots. I watched his retreating back with weary acceptance. Ethan had never been dumped before. Let him keep that illusion if it eases the sting. Work became my sanctuary. Dan started lingering later each evening. Sometimes he'd offer me rides home through the crisp autumn nights. In the cocoon of his Mercedes, we'd discuss quarterly reports and laugh about incompetent clients. Once, he even joined my rant with "that guy's a total dumbass," our shared chuckle fogging the windshield. The night of first snowfall, I decided to accelerate things. When requesting time off, I hesitated at Dan's questioning look. I have some family matters to attend to. Normally, that should end the conversation. But Dan furrowed his brows. Is everything okay with your family? Is there anything I can help with? I forced an awkward smile. No. It's just my mom pressuring me to go home for a blind date. Dan froze, a rare expression for him. I added, I'm 27. They've been pushing hard. I've dodged it before, but can't skip this one. After a long pause, Dan checked his watch theatrically. Fine. But with our busy schedule, I can only approve. He glanced at the timepiece. 2 hours. Should be enough for a date. You've got 1 hour 59 minutes left. I wasn't lying. My mom had gone nuclear over my failed matches. This new prospect seemed decent, overseas returnee. Tech company job. 6 foot tall. Well-mannered with zero condescending remarks. We hit it off until he excused himself to the restroom. When someone slid into the vacant seat, I froze mid-sentence. Ethan sat there, his 6 feet 3 inches frame dwarfing the cafe booth. He toyed with my date's Volkswagen key fob, sneering. You dumped me for this loser? My smile vanished. Shouldn't you be touring with your band? Schedule changed. Like I'd stay in this shithole by choice. He leaned back, knees bumping the table. Respect my date. He's a good guy. Leave. Ethan's smirk disappeared. As my date returned, confused, Ethan growled without looking up. I'm her boyfriend. Scram. I lunged to explain, but Ethan yanked my wrist. Need us to make out to convince you? By the time I broke free, my date had stormed off. Are you insane? We're done. I hissed. Ethan sprawled lazily. You unilaterally decided that. I never agreed. Since when do we need mutual consent for breakups? You said you'd never look back. Changed my mind. He shrugged like discussing lunch options. You're convenient. Good in bed. Why ditch comfort? I barked a humorless laugh. I'm not comfortable. You wasted my prime years. His sudden shout drew stares. I wanted to vanish. As I reached to silence him, he trapped my hand, eyes glinting. Face it, Zoe. I'm the best you'll ever get. We're fire between sheets. Why settle for less? The words died as another hand pulled me away. Dan stood there in his work suit. Frown deepening. Thought this was a date. Is he harassing you? My mind blanked. This was supposed to make Dan jealous. Instead, Ethan crashed the plan only for Dan to arrive during the aftermath. I'm her boyfriend. Who the hell are you? Sticking your nose where it doesn't belong? Ethan rose angrily. Two towering men locking eyes in silent confrontation. I'm Zoe's boss. Dan stated calmly. To my knowledge, Zoe doesn't have a boyfriend. Since when does she need your permission to date? Ethan shot back, glancing at me with a mocking smirk. Oh, so this is why you dumped me so fast. Your new fling. Huh? Zoe. Does this guy know what a manipulative woman you really are? Planning to screw him over like you did me? My hands trembled with rage despite my usual composure. Before I could retort, Dan cut in, so you're the ex she rightfully dumped. Take the hint, no means no. Pathetic. Ethan's face darkened as Dan turned to me. Your leave time's up. Emergency board meeting in 20. I glared at Ethan. I don't know what your problem is. But Ethan, I owe you nothing. Our relationship was mutual. Stay out of my life. Something flickered in his eyes as I stormed out with Dan's hand guiding my elbow. Was that really your ex? Dan's knuckles whitened on the steering wheel. I thought we had a meeting. Answer the question. We dated 3 years. My laugh sounded hollow. Caught him cheating multiple times. This trip home was supposed to help me move on. Then I glanced at his profile. You've been kind. But now he's back. Dan's ears flushed pink. He's unworthy. Cheaters lack basic self-control, primitive instincts over integrity. You deserve commitment. Where would I even find that? I bit my lip to hide my smile. He cleared his throat. Well, I'm available. 3 nights later. Sipping whiskey at Velvet Lounge. Dan's text lit up my phone. When are you returning? The night he'd essentially confessed still made my pulse race. But I wanted this right, no messy rebound. Not like how things started and ended with Ethan. Upbeat jazz shifted suddenly. A familiar rasp pierced through the murmur of clinking glasses. I found a love for me. My glass froze mid-air. There he sat on the stage stool, Ethan in black Armani. Silver chain glinting under spotlights. Fingers dancing on guitar strings. The world narrowed to his smoldering gaze as the crowd erupted. Darling. Just dive right in and follow my lead. Girls squealed about getting his number. My throat tightened. He'd written this song during our first anniversary. Everything unfolded just like our first encounter. Except this time I wasn't the one walking toward him. Ethan descended from the stage with his guitar. smiling as he asked, "Can I get your number?" The crowd erupted in cheers. To my surprise, the tranquil lake of my heart actually rippled at his approach. I studied him with mixed emotions. Why bother? I wasn't being self-deprecating. Ethan clearly felt something. But was his affection for me as a person, or just appreciation for my unwavering caretaking? The kind that never complained about his infidelities? Perhaps his current pursuit stemmed from bruised pride, unable to accept being dumped by the very doormat he'd taken for granted. As the crowd dispersed, Ethan signaled the band to resume playing before settling beside me in the booth. "I've been thinking about what you said," he began awkwardly, fingers tracing the leather upholstery. "These 3 years, you never wronged me." I was the one. His throat worked around unaccustomed words of remorse. "If I change completely, treat you right, cut off other women, could we?" Crimson flooded his face as he blurted, "Could you take me back?" "I'm sorry." I stared in disbelief. The arrogant Ethan apologizing? "Who's coaching you?" I demanded. This reeked of outside influence. His shoulders slumped. "My friends, after the breakup. They said I'd been an asshole. That pride won't win back." He swallowed hard. "So? I'm better than those blind dates anyway. And that boring boss of yours, all work no play. We're all ready. How'd you get the owner to agree to the stunt?" I interrupted. His smirk returned. "Bought the place. Want it? It's yours." "No thanks." I drained my cocktail and stood. The song was nice, but no encores. The temperature plummeted as Ethan's charming eyes turned arctic. "Why?" I smiled. "I never revisit old chapters. To avoid further drama. I volunteered for a week-long business trip. The negotiations were wrapping up smoothly until dinner with client executives turned sour." "Zoe, right?" A florid-faced VP leered across the table. "Career woman like you must be lonely." His whiskey breath assaulted me as he produced a hotel keycard. "My penthouse has excellent negotiation terms." I recoiled. "Project details should be discussed with my supervisor." His face purpled. "Who the fuck do you think you are?" He lunged, fingers digging into my wrist. Corporate cunt playing hard to get. Male colleagues swarmed to pry him off. Trembling against the wall, I barely registered my buzzing phone until Dan's voice cut through the chaos. I messaged her team. "Leave now." The world tilted as drunken roars blended with my pounding heartbeat. For the first time in years, I wished Ethan's overprotective streak was here, not that I'd ever admit it. It wasn't until Vice President Dan gestured at me that I snapped back to reality and rushed out the door. Glancing down, I realized the call was still connected. When I answered, Dan didn't offer comfort. Just 2 words, "Wait for me." The business trip location wasn't far, a 3-hour drive. Dan's always been swamped with work since the branch office became operational. I'd expected him to video call or send someone to relieve me. Back at the hotel, sleep eluded me. Lying in darkness, I stared at the ceiling. This wasn't new. I'd grown accustomed to such situations. My family never supported me. College tuition came from student loans. Living expenses from endless part-time jobs. When male supervisors harassed me, I had to endure it. At least now I could fight back. Hours ticked by without further messages from Dan. Rolling over, I bitterly chuckled at my lingering foolish hope. Maybe I'd inherited my mother's despised weakness after all. My father barely existed in my childhood, a walking catalog of human vices. Gambling debts, absent nights, endless affairs. His rare appearances meant demands for money. Refusal brought violence against Mom and me. Since adolescence, I'd begged Mom to divorce him. Everyone did. She'd sob about keeping our family intact. Later I realized it was her own dependency disguised as maternal sacrifice. Each affair discovery brought dramatic scenes, kitchen knives, nooses, threats of mutual destruction. Yet when Dad actually left, She'd crumple, clinging to his legs weeping. This endless cycle turned her into Stockholm Syndrome personified. Growing up in this toxic dance taught me early, reliability comes only from oneself. I refused reconciliation with Ethan because leopards don't change spots. Flowery promises couldn't alter his nature. I wouldn't repeat Mom's tragedy. As for Dan, did I truly love him? Or just his stability and integrity compared to Ethan? My calculated approach to attract him felt hollow. For the first time, uncertainty gripped me. Was this really what I wanted? The doorbell rang. Wrapped in blankets, I answered to find Dan in a crisp suit. No trace of 3-hour night drive fatigue. The collaboration's cancelled. The man who insulted you got fired. He'll never work in this industry again. You're safe now. His calm demeanor held no embraces or sweet nothings. Yet his mere presence radiated security. 3 hours till dawn. He checked his watch. Tomorrow's agenda's cleared. Sleep in. Pausing, he added, I'm next door. Need anything, I'm here. He turned to leave, as if crossing state lines just to deliver these words. Yet inexplicable calm settled over me. As he pivoted, I grabbed his collar, rising on tiptoes. Our lips met in cool mint-scented collision. Smiling at his startled expression, I declared, Dan, let's be together. Being with Dan differed completely from Ethan. This straight-laced man rarely waxed poetic, yet proved devotion through action. Workplace issues met practical solutions, not platitudes. Problems mentioned vanished overnight. He never gushed missing me, yet always waited at arrival's gate for my red-eye flights. For the first time, I understood what secure happiness felt like. The happier I became, the more anxiety crept in. It felt like walking along a cliff's edge where solid rock shifted into bottomless chasms with every glance backward. I feared Dan might discover my carefully constructed facade, that every version of me he'd seen was meticulously curated. What if he hated the real me? After several snowstorms brought plummeting temperatures, compounded by stress and overwork, I finally collapsed. Calling in sick, I cocooned myself in blankets alone. We hadn't moved in together, intimacy risked exposing my unpolished edges. During feverish half-sleep, doorbell chimes pierced my haze. Only after multiple rings did I stagger to reveal Dan standing in the snowfall. His black cashmere coat dusted with flakes. Icicles clung to his lashes as he blinked. Left hand clutching a thermal lunchbox and right gripping pharmacy bags. Heard you were under the weather. He strode past me to unpack containers on the dining table. Never take meds empty-stomached. Brought every porridge variety since I didn't know your preference. Before I could react, his palm pressed against my forehead. Our brows touched briefly as he frowned, then settled on the couch to sort medications. Symptoms? Seasonal flu or viral? Just chilled through. My voice rasped. Dan unfolded drug instructions with the same intensity he'd once scrutinized 8-figure contracts. I remembered first seeing him across boardrooms. An untouchable figure separated by rows of executives. Now here he sat. Rolled up shirt sleeves exposing forearms. Amber lamplight softening his angular features into something unexpectedly tender. My pulse thundered suddenly. Chaotic echoes reverberating through my skull. This is dangerous, I realized. Curling against him, I breathed in his cedarwood scent as he tucked a throw blanket around us. Feeling worse? He murmured, face buried in his shoulder. I confessed. Dan, I think I'm falling for you harder every day. His eyebrow arched. Implying you weren't before? Not like this. My throat tightened. I've always feared losing control in relationships. Becoming like my mother. But with you, the unspoken words hung between us. This terrifying vulnerability felt unexpectedly safe. Medication dragged me into dreamless sleep. Dawn found me sweat-drenched but clear-headed, practically skipping to find Dan. I'm better. The congestions, The sentence died at his glacial expression. In our study, he held my observation journal open midway through months of documented details, his coffee preferences, meeting schedules, even cufflink rotations. He left without shouting, without slamming doors. The silent departure cut deeper than any argument. Lingering in the hallway, I choked on unvoiced pleas while winter winds seemed to howl directly through my ribcage. 2 days later at the office, I mechanically refilled coffee mugs in the break room. No deep laugh echoed down marble corridors. No tailored suits brushed past carrying that familiar sandalwood trace. The recovered body still worked overtime on schedule. But the coffee machine in the break room could no longer create the miracle of accidental encounters. It turned out he was deliberately avoiding me, if he wanted to stay away. I truly couldn't reach him. The WeChat notifications that used to buzz all day fell silent. He seemed to have forgotten me completely. Sometimes I'd find bitter amusement in thinking, at least he didn't fire me. The man really knew how to separate personal and professional matters. Other times I'd grit my teeth, wishing he'd been the type to abuse power for personal vendettas rather than this icy indifference. I stopped seeking him out too. What was there left to say after being caught red-handed? Any explanation would ring hollow. For someone like Dan, there were probably lines of women scheming to get close. I'd just happened to seize the right opportunity through perfect timing and circumstances. No different from the rest. I returned to my old routine, commuting alone, eating alone. What had felt normal before now carried an ache of loneliness after getting accustomed to companionship. Then Ethan materialized like a ghost from my past. Having somehow learned about my breakup, he began ambushing me everywhere, outside my office, near my favorite coffee shop, even at my apartment door. Seriously, what do you want? I sighed after yet another doorstep confrontation. I told you I'm not getting back together. Leaning against the doorframe, Ethan's silver ear cuff glinted under the hallway lights. He smirked. All sharp angles and dangerous charm. You're single now. Why not give us another shot? What's that golden boy got that I don't? Look at this face. He gestured mockingly at his model-perfect features. Money? Please. I'll match whatever he's giving you. Why cling to some corporate drone? I just like him. I snapped, exhaustion thinning my patience. None of your business. Ethan laughed, the cruel, beautiful laugh that made me hate how unfair genetics could be. You like him. His voice dripped with frost. Does he like you? He stepped closer, dark eyes boring into mine. He fell for your act. Not me. I want the real you, the girl who argues about parking spots and burns microwave popcorn. You two aren't even in the same universe. How long can you keep pretending? The barb struck true. Our relationship had been built on pretense. But my feelings were real. Yet Ethan wasn't wrong. What did it matter now? Dan would never look at me again. To someone like him, our entanglement was probably a humiliating blunder. Zoe. We're meant to be. Ethan's voice turned velvet dark. The kind that could lure sailors onto rocks. This back and forth? It's our dance. As I opened my mouth to retort, my phone buzzed. The notification froze my blood. Dan, free tonight? I'll pick you up. We need to talk. No. I blurted out loud. Ethan blinked. What? I said no. My grip tightened on the phone. To us. To all of this. I'm done settling. When Dan arrived hours later, he looked unchanged, no heartbreak shadows. No anger lines. Just immaculate black turtleneck and that unreadable calm as he folded his coat over the restaurant chair. The silence stretched until he finally spoke. Did you use those tactics on others? The question caught me off guard. No. Even with Ethan. I'd never studied someone's preferences so meticulously. Something imperceptibly relaxed in Dan's posture. My apology stuck in my throat. You have every right to hate me. If you never want to see me again, I'll My knuckles whitened around the water glass, bracing for the axe to fall. I can resign. Dan paused. That's not why I'm here today. After thinking these past few days, I realized I genuinely care about you. Even after learning you deceived me, my feelings remain. I'm not good with emotions, never have been. My affection mirrors who I am, straightforward, without pretense. But fabricated relationships don't last. What I admire is your resilience, your clear vision for life, your determination to stay focused despite obstacles. I love the real you who shares my aspirations. Not just someone who enjoys sacred mountain skiing in Hokkaido or Domaine Leroy Musigny. Shared values matter more than common hobbies. We should be life partners walking the same path, not drifting apart. His amber eyes held mine intently. I want us to be authentic. I want forever with you. My mind blanked. Years of never being chosen first had taught me to manipulate relationships. Believing love was fiction, like ghosts. Everyone claims they exist, but no one's seen one. I'd convinced myself settling for compatibility sufficed. Until Dan tore down my facades, demanding truth. He deserved better than the games I'd played with Ethan. Numbly, I nodded. Okay. His rare smile thawed winter's depth into spring. Then I forgive you. We began anew. No more curating shared interests, we compromised. I ditched his art house films for horror marathons. He endured stoically until nightmares had him clutching me at 3 a.m., murmuring, "Babe, no more scary movies." I swapped wine tastings for dive bar baijiu. He choked crimson-faced while I laughed, only to later discover him secretly practicing with liquor store hulls. Ethan left without fuss, reportedly dragged into family corporate wars. By March, Dan proposed, no point waiting. News reached Ethan. He demanded a meet at the seaside cliff. Waves shattered below as he eyed my 8-carat ring bitterly. Moving fast. Huh? When it's right. You know. I sipped beer. His jaw tightened. And what about me? You discard me once bored? Plenty adore you. Ethan. None like you. Gently. I countered. If you truly loved me, there'd have been no cheating. You just can't stand being the dumped one. Silence stretched before he rasped. Maybe. Doesn't make it hurt less. We watched goals circle until dusk. Two ghosts of what might have been. Ethan didn't say a word, downing his drink in one go. I handed the beer back to him. I wish you happiness from now on. And I mean it this time. Then I turned and walked away. When I was nearly out of sight, Ethan suddenly called out to me from behind, his voice trembling. But Zoe, I really do like you. I kept walking, waving over my shoulder without stopping. My phone buzzed, a message from Dan. My alcohol tolerance is solid now. Tonight's showdown at the barbecue joint downstairs. I couldn't help grinning as I typed back, deal. Last one to tap out buys the next round. The horizon stretched endlessly ahead, sunlight piercing through the cloud layers. Spring had truly arrived.